Welcome to TrojanVision's Fall Semester in Review. I'm Paige Ray. Thank you for joining us. Over the next hour, we'll be looking back at some of our top stories from this past semester. We begin with Troy University expanding its reach around the state. Back in August, the university announced a partnership with Wallace Community College Dothan for students on the optometry pathway. With support from Mayor Jason Reeves, Troy University has been able to secure yet another partnership. Reporter Tavares Dennis has more.
Troy University and Troy City Schools have officially started the Trojans Teaching Trojans Scholarship. Around the nation, research shows the education field has been suffering from a lack of educators nationwide. Troy City Schools is no exception. In an attempt to address the growing shortage, university and city school leaders are turning to a select group of students within the Department of Teacher Education.
Having them in our school system actually from a realistic perspective, not just, in a classroom learning how to be a teacher, but actually having hands-on and being in those settings, I think it's a win-win.
As part of this unprecedented agreement, Troy University students will spend 12 weeks in a semester providing instructional support in Troy City Schools classrooms.
Number one, it helps with the finances for the Troy education majors. Number two, it gives them real-world practical experience working with students before they get into their full-time career. And number three, it helps Troy City Schools because they now have more boots on the ground.
Although in-classroom instruction is important, school leaders say the opportunity to have real-world experience is invaluable.
They'll start in one semester, and if they have a very good experience, they can actually go back and get more scholarship support to stay with Troy City Schools for a second semester. They could possibly intern with Troy City Schools.
While this program tackles the school system's problem of educators, it also provides support for students and the community. Tavares Dennis, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Troy University also used this semester to introduce 3 new academic programs, all meant to fill critical needs in part of Alabama's workforce. Reporter Neela Cole explains what the programs are and why industry leaders believe future students could be the solution to current challenges.
A PhD in criminology, a Master of Business Administration, data analytics, and a concentration in global healthcare leadership, those are 3 new degree options Troy University believes can help parts of Alabama's workforce.
As we craft new degree programs, we don't want to be thinking just about something that may interest us. We want to be thinking how we can help make Alabama a better place to live.
The PhD in criminology, a 60-hour program, aims to teach students about the root causes of crime and how to analyze crime data, a skill set the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency says is crucial when it comes to predicting and preventing crime.
Look for your series, look for your patterns, look for those things is where I think this program fits really well to help law enforcement.
Troy's PhD in Global Leadership, a 63-hour curriculum, provides an increased focus on healthcare leadership, something Troy Regional Medical Center CEO says could help not only recruit students to Troy, but keep them in the local area post-graduation.
Help draw students into the area and then give them the opportunity to stay here locally, providing healthcare for those in our community.
Finally, Troy's MBA in Data Analytics, a 30-hour curriculum, is set to offer students hands-on experience in interpreting and leveraging data. It also marks the first STEM-focused program in the Sorrell College of Business.
Addresses the growing demand for management analysts in Alabama. This program will prepare professionals to lead in data-driven business environments, filling a critical gap in the state's 2023-24 statewide demand occupations list.
The 3 new programs are expected to launch in 2025. Neela Cole, Troy, TrojanVision News.
The Global Healthcare Leadership and Criminology PhDs will be offered through Troy Online, while the Analytics MBA will be offered in a flex format, meaning both online and on Troy's main campus. Over the past few months, a well-known feature of Troy University's campus has remained in the middle of a major restoration project. We're talking about what's being called Lake Laguna and its surrounding area. TrojanVision's Mackenzie Foster has what the university is doing and the pros and cons from an environmental perspective.
For years, students have passed by the University Lagoon, a small man-made lake that sits downstream from the Janice Hawkins Cultural Arts Park. Although some may have heard about the lagoon's heyday,
I know they used to train and do courses out there with canoeing and sailing.
the majority of today's students, faculty, and staff likely know it is a murky body of water with even murkier residents.
Really increased nutrients, really increased sediments. Suspended solids are really high.
According to the university, the dredging of the lagoon is the final phase to restore and beautify the area. It's a project Helm says could help the water and the organisms that call it home.
Getting rid of all those legacy sediments that are there and everything they've carried with them over the decades, if properly disposed, that would be a good thing.
Now, the lagoon isn't the only area seeing a big change. A small wetland located above the lagoon will also be impacted.
So anything coming from the Janice Hawkins Pond to the lagoon would basically be filtered out by that creek and that wetland.
That area is now expected to receive an enhanced downstream water flow system. Plans also include new walking trails and improved lighting. It's a project that comes with pros and cons, but could help reset an area that was biologically disturbed.
These environments aren't necessarily static. And so those kinds of things that they take kind of constant tweaking.
Helm says most of the fish population will likely restore itself. Time will tell if the wetland will do the same. Mackenzie Foster, Troy, TrojanVision News.
This project began during summer break. The university says work should be completed by the end of spring 2025. This semester, local law enforcement unveiled several new efforts to increase safety on campus. Months ago, first responders announced a new way to respond to emergency calls. It came as Pike County and the Troy University Police Department teamed up to bring what's being called What 3 Words to our area. Sarah Campbell has what the new initiative is and how it's meant to benefit students.
A new initiative making it easier for first responders in Pike County to locate those in need. It's called What 3 Words?
If you don't know what you're doing, where you are, you're able to still find yourself. You're able to still tell people like, hey, I'm in trouble, and they can get to you from there.
Just one more way to keep students just a little bit safer.
What 3 Words works by assigning a unique 3-word combination to every 10 square foot area. That way, responders know precisely where to go in the case of emergency.
Let's say you're out in like an ATV and your ATV is broken down. Well, you're not going to have an address if you're out there in the middle of a field in the middle of nowhere. So you would pull out your phone, you would say, open the app, it'll give you those 3 individual characters. You could then give that to any responder and say where you are within a 10-foot by 10-foot accuracy.
Troy University Police Department and Pike County collaborated to adopt this system. They see it as a great benefit to students who may not be familiar with the area.
Anything that we can do to improve safety on and off campus just a little bit more, we're going to take advantage of that.
Within the frame of this camera, I can say that this is its own unique set of 3 words, and to me that's fascinating.
The What 3 Words app is free to use. In the case that someone doesn't have the app, 911 can still send that 3-word code to the person in need. Sarah Campbell, Troy, TrojanVision News.
What 3 Words also works globally. The system has been used by the University of Arkansas and Baldwin County. Staying with safety news, the University Police Department secured a $150,000 grant this semester that's meant to amp up their security measures. Reporter Camille Coney speaking with the Troy University Police Department to see how it put its portion of that grant money to use.
TUPD recently received a grant from U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville, totaling $150,000. The funding will be used to improve CCTV cameras at Veterans Memorial Stadium, purchase a mobile camera trailer, and enhance officers' personal safety equipment.
Where we're going to upgrade the cameras over there to give us a lot better view of the stadium and help provide a lot more security and investigative resources with the camera system. This will give officers an opportunity to actually have real-time viewing capability of areas that we previously didn't have.
CCTV cameras are part of the university's camera system. They can be found all over campus.
It gives us an opportunity to be able to conduct investigations and also, again, watch in real time camera footage if we need to.
TUPD is also using the money to provide more security for officers.
Active shooter response kits. So all of our officers are going to be equipped with some ballistic paneled vests as well as a ballistic helmet. We are also going to be implementing some response equipment that is specifically designed for active shooters.
As law enforcement agencies across the country work to combat security risks, especially at schools, Beaudry says any help is greatly appreciated.
You know, this type of funding goes a long way to help provide a safer environment and a safer community for us here at Troy, and absolutely without the help of Senator Tuberville, we may not have had that opportunity.
A UTV vehicle will also be added to TUPD's fleet so officers can provide a rapid response to areas they might not be able to make it to with a motor vehicle. Camille Coney, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Veterans Memorial Stadium will receive 12 cameras. Those cameras are expected to be dispersed throughout Tailgate Terrace and the stadium concourse. While TUPD got additional funding to help continue its service to students, the Troy Police Department got a new police chief. Reporter Belle Johnson takes us to the swearing-in ceremony where the City of Troy's newest chief was made official.
Together we'll face challenges with dedication and work toward a safer, more vibrant Troy.
Danny Barron has been with the Troy Police Department since he was 17 years old. Tuesday morning, the City of Troy officially swore him in as its new Chief of Police.
I'm so thankful that the council and the mayor have enough faith in me to allow me to serve this great community that we call Troy.
He has worked everywhere in the department, from the jail to dispatch. He says he plans to keep adding to what has been built.
We've got a really good department that's been built by some really good people. You know, what I want to do is just continue to build on what we've got now and continue to move forward.
Barron credits to former chiefs he has worked with for being able to have this opportunity. He also says his success in the department would not be possible without his fellow officers.
There's no way I could have gotten to this point in my career without the great men and women of our police department.
Barron says he and the rest of TPD are here to listen and to serve the community of Troy, Alabama. Belle Johnson, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Barron follows former Chief Randall Barr, who announced his retirement back in August. Staying with local law enforcement news, Pike County is now home to a state-of-the-art 911 dispatch center. The building opened over the summer and takes calls from all 911 agencies in the county. That includes law enforcement, fire, and EMS. Sarah Campbell shows us how.
Pike County is welcoming a brand new 911 dispatch center that has been years in the making.
The thought was to consolidate and put together one 911 and dispatch center underneath the 911 district.
The facility opened in July. Built with expansion in mind, it not only provides more space, but new and improved equipment and facilities.
We have a kitchen now, we have bunk rooms, we have showers and stuff like that, so we could man this facility for an extended period of time in case of natural disaster or anything or an event that we might need to have staffing permanently here.
The 911 center emerged as a consolidation of 3 separate buildings. They combined manpower, making it more efficient for different agencies to respond to emergencies in the area.
Thanks to the 911 board and the commission on having the foresight to put these things together, I think that public safety in Pike County is in a much better place than it was a few years ago.
One added benefit that comes with the new facility is a consolidated radio system.
We now get to listen to all the calls that are going on. City of Troy Police, City of Troy Fire, Pike County Sheriff, Brundage PD. If it's happening in Pike County in emergency services, we have access to it on the radio in real time.
The radio system has not only helped foster communication between different agencies, but has also helped cut down response time. Sarah Campbell, Troy, TrojanVision News.
That center is located off 3 Notch Street near the Pike County Jail. Back on campus, after 2 years of work, Troy University has officially opened its first building dedicated completely to research. Jimmy Nichols has the story.
1, 2, 3.
Saturday, the Center for Materials and Manufacturing Sciences building officially opened.
When you think that only 15% of all plastics are recycled, and you realize that 85% of those plastics that are not recycled go into landfills and to the ocean, you see what a potentially great contribution can be made here.
With many alumni present, the Chancellor, Board of Trustees, and important figures in the community cut the ribbon so the new research facility can begin its work.
Fundamentally, we study polymers. So we study how to recycle polymers more efficiently. We also think about creating new composite polymers that can be easily recycled.
The building, which will be geared completely to research, meaning no classrooms, is already fully operational and is ready to begin serving students.
What we can learn to gear up and to scale up for the rest of the university.
Jimmy Nichols, Troy, TrojanVision News.
The building and those who work inside it are expected to partner with local polymer and plastics industry leaders. Troy also expanded part of its reach to the downtown square, giving student business owners a new way to sell their products. Belle Johnson explains.
Troy student entrepreneurs now have a space to show off their work. It's called Student Made.
It's actually a third-party partnership. Student Made Store is a company that creates these platforms for students and works with campuses to execute an e-commerce opportunity for student creators.
It's a great space for student entrepreneurs to come and have a workspace and to be able to put their stuff in the store.
Student Made Store was originally founded by Ryan McElhaney and Lindsay Reith. They have opened 14 other online stores for colleges across the nation. Troy has the first ever brick-and-mortar student-made store.
It was a new thing for them, it was a new thing for us. We just started working together in January of this year, and after several months of planning, we were able to cut the ribbon today.
Not only are the products made by students, but the store itself is fully run by students.
All of the products are student-made, but also the entire operation of the store is run by students. There are 7 student manager positions.
Roberts encourages students who are interested in selling products with Student Made to reach out and try it.
It really is fun and it's a great community and everybody just loves being together. So definitely if you're considering it, do it. It's a great experience and opportunity.
From stickers to clothing to even crochet items, there is something for everyone at Troy's Student Made Store. Belle Johnson, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Again, all of the items inside the Student Made store are student made. In this next story, Camille Coney introduces us to one of those students who's growing her business one crocheted creation at a time.
What started off as craft days after church has become a student Kayla Otis's business. She says it all started thanks to her small group leader, Mrs. Kim.
She came that next week with like a band full of yarn and many hooks and different things, and she taught us the basics. And after that, I took it home and I just worked it around, and I went from there.
Thanks to the encouragement and willingness of friends, Otis was able to turn her passion for crocheting into a profit.
My friends sort of pushed me into a little bit. Shout out them, they know who they are. And they were like, Kayla, you have a gift, you have a passion. You always seem to be doing it when we call or we text you. Why don't you turn it into something more, a profit, so that you can earn more income, things like that.
Otis not only runs her own business, she also balances 2 jobs on top of being a full-time college student.
You have to make time for it when you know that's something that you really want to do, something that you know that you're passionate about, that you know that you can continue to do in the future. You just have to, like many things, you have to set it aside and make time for it. And the more time you make for it, the more it flourishes.
Otis says she loves to see happy customers and to know an item she has made is being put to good use.
It fills me with a sense of joy to see people like wearing my stuff around campus or like posting on their Instagram. I think it's so cool that like people who buy my items actually enjoy them and they like them, and I get like recommendations to other people. I just find it super fun. Like, they mean a lot to me.
To check out Kayla's work or place an order, contact her on Instagram at creation, spelled with a K_Kayla's. Camille Coney, Troy, Trojan Vision News.
In other news, Troy University is now home to a new center that bears the last name of Alabama Governor Kay Ivey. Back in November, Ivey and representatives of Troy announced the opening of the Ivey Center for the Cultural Approach to History. That new center aims to get K-12 students more interested in learning about history. Reporter Belle Johnson explains.
Alabama Governor Kay Ivey was on Troy University's campus Wednesday to announce the opening of the Ivey Center. The center was named after the governor's uncle, Dr. Oliver Turner Ivey.
His wisdom did have a personal impact, and after I received my education degree, I employed some of his engaging methods of instruction to stimulate my high school civics classes, and it worked.
Now, the goal of the Ivey Center is to make learning opportunities for teachers meaningful and available. They also want K-12 students to see studying history not as a burden, but as a blessing.
They're able to look at more than just preparing for a test where you're going to ask them about dates and what happened. We want to dig deeper. We want to know about the culture of the area that we're talking about.
The center plans to train teachers on how to use the cultural approach. This approach was created by Dr. Oliver Turner Ivey when he was a professor at Auburn University.
You take a time period, you take a place, and instead of just trying to look at it overall, you think about the politics of that time that you're looking at, the location there.
The center was originally located at Columbus State University. Members of the Ivey Foundation decided it was best to move the center to Troy. Representatives of Troy University were also present at the announcement, including Chancellor Dr. Jack Hawkins.
When we become ignorant of our past, when we become ignorant of how blessed we are, we stand on the threshold of losing that very blessing. And that's what I see the Ivey Center is about.
The Ivey Center will start out by training 3rd through 5th grade teachers. They hope to add more grades as time goes on. Belle Johnson, Troy, Trojan Vision News.
The Ivey Center has already reached out to superintendents in the district. Leaders hope to begin training teachers in the summer of 2025. Speaking of remembering history, Troy University Chancellor Dr. Jack Hawkins Jr. recently debuted a new documentary short film, Beyond a War. It tells the story of the unlikely friendship between him and Dr. Lee Kong Ko after they both fought in the Vietnam War, but on opposing sides. Liliana Heaton has more.
Sunday, current military members, veterans, and members of Troy University met inside Davis Theater to witness the debut of what has been called an inspiring story of peace between Troy University Chancellor Dr. Jack Hawkins Jr. and founder of Oei Tan University, Dr. Lee Kong Ko.
And so it was a strange partnership with two men who had been on opposite sides of the war coming together.
In the documentary, both Hawkins and Ko recall memories of the war and how they never would have imagined working together hand in hand to improve the education of their students.
As we have partnered, today we have about 1,200 students on the ground in Vietnam and about 2,000 alumni.
Hawkins says the documentary was a way to promote reconciliation and bringing two countries together with peace.
Well, it's a story that I think its time has come. We've talked about war long enough. Now let's talk about reconciliation, peace, and how we can work together in unity to make this world a better place.
The film has won numerous awards in Vietnam. Liliana Heaton, Troy, TrojanVision News.
We continue with military coverage now. You may have noticed T-Roy sporting a brand new Army uniform at this year's Veterans Game. But did you know it was donated by Troy's very own ROTC chair? Sarah Campbell has what inspired the chair to do it and how it stands for much more than just a uniform.
Captain Jeffrey Gregory is the chair of Troy University's Army ROTC program. His daily duties include helping military students work toward graduation. Recently, he took another individual under his wing, T-Roy.
T-Roy is one of our cadets. He is part of this organization. As a leader, it's my job to provide for them whatever they need to represent the organization and to make sure everyone knows who we are and what we are.
After realizing T-Roy's previous military uniform was starting to show wear and tear, Gregory was inspired to donate a brand new one, completely out of pocket.
When I saw the uniform, it was an Air Force uniform. It was also an older uniform, what we call the Tiger Stripes, a couple of years out of date now. And I asked, that's very nice, when are you going to wear the Army one? It's like, oh, I don't have one. Like, that can't stand. I'm the chair of the program, you're in my program, you're T-Roy, you have to have an Army uniform.
Gregory says this uniform not only represents the ROTC program, but also allows Troy to show support for the military.
Anytime there needs to be given an example or a show of military support, which Troy is always known as one of the most supportive military schools when it comes to colleges and universities, he can wear it.
Those with a sharp eye may also notice that the uniform displays T-Roy's rank. 3 diamonds signify Cadet Colonel, a title T-Roy has earned as the oldest cadet in the program. Sarah Campbell, Troy, TrojanVision News.
With the new uniform, T-Roy can represent the program at future Veterans Games and anytime the university recognizes veterans. Staying on campus, the Sigma Tau Delta Honor Society held a banned book reading this semester to bring attention to the topic of banned books in the U.S. It started to become more and more of a heated topic. Parker Flowers explains.
Wednesday, the Sigma Tau Delta Honor Society held a banned book reading event where a multitude of students showed up to either listen or speak about their favorite books that have been banned for a multitude of reasons.
So we are holding the banned book read-in to commemorate the Banned Books Week that the American Library Association holds. And so we hold this read-in for students and faculty to come to share passages from banned books that they think are very significant and special and that mean a lot to them.
The banning of books has started to become sort of an issue in the United States. According to USA Today, book banning nearly tripled in the 23 through 24 academic year from the year before. Some of the reasons for said banning include topics of self-harm, religious and political viewpoints, and racism. Many people say that forms of media with these sorts of things in it don't belong in libraries, as introducing them to someone who is younger, like children, could be harmful. Others who are against it argue that the banning of books goes against freedom of speech. But this event was not to debate, but rather to bring awareness to the topic.
When we bring awareness for what books are being banned, a lot of these books are books that you read on your own time, like The Hunger Games, like Harry Potter. These are books that you read as children, but a lot of them are books that you read in school. So I think that when you raise awareness about it, then more people are like, wait, this is something that I should look into and I should be informed about.
Parker Flowers, Troy, TrojanVision News.
According to the American Library Association, 4,240 books have been targeted for censorship in 2023, a 65% increase from 2022. Banned books wasn't the only hot topic in classrooms this semester. So too was artificial intelligence, also known as AI. It continues drawing both praise and concern, especially in higher education. Right now, a Troy University professor is working to lead the conversation and find ways to ethically incorporate AI in the classroom. Simon Brown reports.
AI is making its way into higher education. The question is, should it be embraced?
I do think that AI is going to be a great tool that can enhance students' learning experience and a tool that helps them with their learning process because they don't have access to professors 24/7, but they do have access to AI.
We also asked students how they felt about using AI in the classroom.
I think it should be encouraged. I think as long as it's used in the correct way. As far as it goes as using it for information or helping you out with homework, that's not, cheating or any sort of dishonesty, I think it should be encouraged.
Potential good examples of AI uses would be using AI to explain concepts in simpler terms, using AI to pull real-life example of a concept so that that concept stick with the student.
Although AI could help students learn, some worry that it will have the opposite effect.
Potentially, there are some caveats with using AI. For example, the biggest one is plagiarism, right? Generating output with AI and directly copying that.
Students are still expected to uphold Troy University's standard of academic integrity, even when using AI.
Back in November, millions of people around the country cast their votes for the next president of the United States. This semester, members of Troy's National Panhellenic Council organizations hosted a voter summit that aimed to encourage students to make their voices heard. Reporter Emily Clegg explains.
I just want people to feel empowered at the end of the day.
Hidayah Stone works for Alabama Forward, a network committed to getting citizens involved in the civic engagement process. Stone says she was inspired to get into this work at a young age.
I've actually been in this work since I was 14 years old. My father got sentenced 6 years in prison for selling marijuana, and so I took it upon myself to fight for his release, and that happened actually while I was in college.
On Tuesday, Stone paid a visit to Troy and PHC sororities and fraternities. She says she hopes her words inspire students to realize that their voice matters.
We all have an individual power, and it's up to us to be the change that we want to see throughout the world.
Ryan Carson is one of the students that attended the summit. She says that prior to the event, she was unaware of her voter registration status.
I wanted to learn more about voting. I've heard a little bit about it, but I haven't been too well informed, and I thought that this would be the right place to come.
But after the summit, Carson wanted to double check to make sure she was good to go for November.
We had people come to our school, my high school, earlier this year and get people to vote, but I was 17 at the time, so I wanted to make sure that when I turned 18 that I was able to vote and I was in the system.
Emily Clegg, Troy, TrojanVision News.
According to Alabama Forward's website, the organization's voter engagement initiative hoped to yield at least 100,000 potential registrations and over 21,000 voter conversations. Once Election Day arrived, TrojanVision reporter Simon Brown spoke with Pike County residents as well as Troy University students to get their thoughts amid the highly contested election. Here's what he found out.
In 2020, former President Donald Trump won the state of Alabama with 62% of the vote. Some Alabamians hope to see history repeat itself.
Because he's running on a stronger economy, on border control, on a stronger position as a world power. I think that if people of the United States would rally around those principles instead of who's saying them, then I think that would be really unifying.
In this election, many college students are first-time voters. Troy student Alyssa Wall says her vote will be based on future economic stability.
Honestly, one of the things that most concerns me is just like taxes, just because that's probably what is selfishly what's going to affect me. More attention to the people who are in need, lower social class, and just people who are struggling day by day to just make it through.
Creech says he plans to vote for Trump based on his policies, not his personality.
I think that we're really divided, and I'd like to see us come together in unity. I feel like Trump, he's a really divisive character, but I think that his policies are really unifying.
Staying with election news, before the polls even opened, many Troy students were already working to encourage their classmates to vote. Emily Clegg introduces us to a Troy professor who used her class to teach the importance of voting.
You can say that you believe all you want, but until you take action on what you believe, no change can be made.
Take action, make change. That's the phrase Junior I.C. Wallace based her most recent typography project on. Her class was tasked with creating a nonpartisan campaign encouraging people to vote.
And in researching how many young people vote, just in and of itself. I realized that I wasn't registered to vote when I started this project, so it helped me get a little bit more in depth into research on how I can register, getting my family members to register, encouraging my brother, having discussions with friends respectfully about things that are going on in the world.
According to the Center for Information and Research on Civic Learning and Engagement, less than 15% of Alabamians aged 18 through 29 voted in the 2022 midterm election. These statistics inspired the students in Professor Belda's class to target younger generation voters.
With new generations, we are the ones that are in charge of taking the reins and growing the world to the place that we want it to be.
Tiffany Belda is an assistant professor of design. She says this project has helped her students realize the impact their work can have on others.
They were very surprised, not just by how much their vote counts, but how much their design skills can be used to promote civic engagement.
The students even got to see their designs on display.
Professor Stagel got us connected with the Office of Civic Engagement, and they had a voter registration booth. So that gave our students an opportunity to design for that and to also connect with even more students, right?
Emily Clegg, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Staying with the arts, this semester brought some challenges for members of Troy's art department. One of Troy University's oldest buildings on campus, Malone Hall, has fallen victim to the test of time and became in need of repairs. Jameson Fowler explains.
Art and design students are often encouraged to use their creativity, but right now, some of that creativity is growing stagnant, literally.
The roof is the main issue. How the water sits on it. It's no longer flat. There are areas now where it's getting where water pools up and collects to the point where it just needs to be replaced.
According to Skaggs, those new issues, including leaking ceiling tiles, are just the latest in a list of issues the building has faced, most of which Skaggs says is connected to a leaky roof. Skaggs says once the water collects, it doesn't have any place to go other than to leak into the ceiling tiles that rest below it. Skaggs says each new rain brings a new batch of maintenance request tickets, but so far that hasn't been enough.
We can replace ceiling tiles, but eventually those tiles are going to be in bad shape because if the leak isn't fixed, then it just causes another problem.
Speaking of another problem, rust.
So we have to constantly maintain equipment for rust issues. We keep 3 mil plastic over all of our wood cutting equipment. We have a nice CNC machine. We've got routers, table saws, and we just keep those covered now.
Although Skaggs says the ideal solution to the problem would be a new facility,
honestly, the biggest improvement would be a really nice new building.
He acknowledges the process would be complicated.
There's just no place to put us with all of our equipment.
Despite those setbacks, Skaggs says he is hopeful something can and will be done. Recently, the university sent out a statement about Malone saying it's fully committed to providing clean, safe, and comfortable learning environments. It went on to say solutions are being considered, including a roof replacement, construction of a new building, or demolition of Malone Hall. Jameson Fowler, Troy, TrojanVision News.
And we do have an update for this story. The university says plans are in place to make extensive repairs to Malone Hall. While those repairs are made, fine arts students will be temporarily relocated into other buildings starting January. In other news, one of the biggest film festivals in the Southeast has come and gone from Troy's campus. It's called the Yellowhammer Film Festival, and each year it draws hundreds of submissions from film students from across the Southeast. Camille Coney takes us to this year's festival.
The Yellowhammer Film Festival, which started during 2021, is a free experience for high school and college filmmakers to showcase their work.
It's really an opportunity for students to learn about what's going on in the industry and the way things work in the field, and really to learn about what their peers are up to, because the entire exhibition is made of student films.
Rihanna Thompson, a recent Troy graduate, has participated in 2 films herself. This year, she submitted a music video named Tonight You're Mine. It's the result of a tedious filming and editing process.
Writing out every single scene, deciding like at this millisecond to this millisecond in the music video where we wanted this to start in this camera angle. It's really like just going through your script or the music, like the music itself, and like figuring out exactly where you want everything to be and writing it out.
Students also got to learn from leading industry professionals who have real-world experience in film and animation.
This is really an untapped resource that we do at Troy University every year, and I would truly like to encourage all the students, not just the art and design students, but all the students at Troy University to consider coming and being a part of the Yellowhammer Film Festival.
This year's Yellowhammer Film Festival was held in person at Troy University and was available to watch via Zoom. Camille Coney, Troy, TrojanVision News.
We have a list of all the winners as well as this year's guest speakers on our website. Remember, that's today.troy.edu/TrojanVision. This semester also saw the death of one of Troy University's most well-known figures, Fred Nall Hollis. Mackenzie Foster spoke with the director of the center to learn more about Nall's life, work, and legacy.
It was a tragic loss, not only for us, but for the art world.
Carrie Jackson, the director of the International Art Center, recalls what she first thought when she heard about Nall's passing.
He's been in our thoughts through these years when he's had his health struggles, but we are devastated with his loss.
According to Jackson, Troy University has the largest collection of Nall's artwork. With that and Nall's influence on the art world, Jackson encourages everyone to come to the IAC to see Nall's creative mind through his artwork.
Every time I come into Nall's exhibit, even after I've worked here since 2017, I'm always discovering something new. There's so many details in his work, and there's so many little things that you may not notice each time you come.
Jackson loves Nall's work. Her favorite piece is Cosmic Harmonies.
I feel like it encompasses so much of Nall's personality.
She enjoys all the different aspects of the piece.
He uses the frame fragments, which is very, it's a major part of his aesthetic. He has all of the typical mediums. He incorporates eggshells and bones, and also, of course, his vibrant florals. In general, it's just a magnificent piece with his very tight renderings and paintings of florals, but then also his loose splattering of paint that just has that great juxtaposition.
If anyone is interested in viewing Nall's work, you can visit the Fred Nall Hollis Museum at the IAC.
One of Nall's most famous works that you may be familiar with is the Peace Stub that's located outside of the IAC. It's the focal point of Troy University's International Day of Peace. Staying on campus, Troy prides itself on being Alabama's international university. Throughout the semester, university organizations hold several events that are meant to help international students share their cultures and domestic students to broaden their horizons. Liliana Heaton takes us to one such event.
As the full moon rises, families gather in their homes to celebrate one of the most cherished traditions in East Asia, the Mid-Autumn Festival. For our international students, they gather in the Trojan Center ballrooms for this tradition.
Our goal is to bring people together and while having fun, having some Chinese food and just get to know some foreign culture.
Throughout the event, mooncakes were served and traditional Chinese dances were performed by a few international students from China. These performances included traditional dragon and lion dances, guzheng, and popular K-pop songs.
We have opportunities to perform whatever we want to do, such as the last performance. Everybody just gather around the stage. We just show up, stand up, and having fun, I guess. Yeah, back in China, we don't have that the vibe, the atmosphere here.
Not only was this an opportunity for international students, but also for Troy's domestic students.
It's very nice to learn about something you have no idea about,
and how someone grew up and the traditions they hold. I think that's a really nice thing to be interested in, and I hope it made some people interested.
Liliana Heaton, Troy, TrojanVision News.
The Mid-Autumn Festival falls on the 15th day of the 8th lunar month during what's believed to be the fullest moon of the year. And at the end of each semester, many students participate in International Education Week, a celebration of all of the cultures that are found on Troy's campus. Ty Davidson takes us to one of the biggest and tastiest events of the semester.
Whether it's studying abroad or simply talking to students that aren't from the United States, students here at Troy are fed constant opportunities to get a taste of the world.
We've always said that it's a small world, but it's getting smaller. So it is important for students to learn more about other cultures. It's good to know why other people do things the way they do because of where they're from.
For the last couple of years, we've had an international bake-off where students, faculty, staff can enter a dessert. We always have a photo contest during that week too. So we have judges that pick the top 3, and then we have people vote when they're here at the event also.
The Taste of the World event also featured a booth set up by the Spanish Club that allowed the students to try various Hispanic sweets.
So we try to get a little bit of everything. Like today we got some Hispanic sodas, so jarritos, and then we got some candy. We got some tamarind flavor, which is very popular in Mexico, but we also got some sweet stuff just in case people don't like that sweet and sour type of candy.
Of course, Taste of the World isn't just about food. It's also about experiencing and embracing the cultures of our international students.
We think it's really important for our domestic students to learn more about other cultures. And because we do have so many international students on campus, they don't even have to leave Troy to do that.
We try to teach faculty, staff, and students on Troy campus to be globally aware, because that is something that we believe is very important for students to be in today's world, because it doesn't matter what you're going to do, you're going to meet and work with people from all over the world.
Ty Davidson, Troy, TrojanVision News.
And International Education Week wrapped up with one of the biggest celebrations for International Education Week and the city of Troy. Before students headed home for Thanksgiving break, many participated in the ISCO Festival. Each year, Troy's International Student Cultural Organization holds the festival that celebrates food, music, and dances from around the world. Not only does the festival allow international students to share their backgrounds and more information about their homes, but it also helps domestic students broaden their horizons as well. The annual festival also marks the end of ISCO's semester of activities. Turning to the School of Music now, Troy University's Jazz Ensemble found a way to bring back big band era music and dancing. It was via this year's Nostalgia Dance. Alexander Vines has the recap.
Tuesday night, Troy University's College of Communications and Fine Arts teamed up with the Troy University's Jazz Ensemble and solo vocalists to host a nostalgia dance night. Swing, jazz, tap, and blues were some of the music from the ensemble.
It was really fun. I love dancing, especially more organized dancing. So swing, waltzing, all that stuff. But it was super fun. I got to meet some new people. It was really just a really good opportunity to get out and move.
From Fly Me to the Moon by Count Basie and Frank Sinatra to Blue Moon by Billie Holiday, participants danced to some of the greatest hits of the big band era. One student says she appreciated the live music and the dance instruction.
I think getting the students to sing and them singing different jazz songs and getting a dance professor to show to dance before it started.
Although the School of Music and its ensembles regularly hold concerts, some participants hope to see more interactive events like the Nostalgia Dance.
I hope they got some real good experience.
I would love if they would have another event like this. I think it's super fun.
The IMC organization hopes to continue events like these in the future. Alexander Vines, Troy, TrojanVision News.
This semester also saw Troy's music ensemble, Populous, work on a new extended play record. Simon Brown has more.
Every year, Populous gives Troy students the chance to have their work featured on an album. This year, 6 songs were selected for the band to record and release.
I'm excited about this EP and this project that we are putting together. I think it will be interesting for the students and the student body to have something to look forward to and something inspirational.
One student whose work was selected is Bryson Bishop. Bishop's song is titled Out Alive and deals with the topic of struggling with mental health.
It's very cool. I'm very happy that they chose this song to do. It's a very cool experience. I'm excited to watch the production and how they bring the song to life. It's very exciting.
All the songs that Populous records and releases are student produced, which is what band members say makes their music unique.
What is really special about all of this is the fact that this is driven by the students. We have undergraduate writers, we have undergraduate producers, we have undergraduate engineers, and undergraduate performers.
Populous plans to release its EP in the spring of 2025.
You can stream Populous's latest body of work titled Rose-Colored Glasses on all music streaming platforms. The grant is also expected to fund educational improvements, including new informational signage and a wildlife viewing area. Staying with campus news, Troy students marched to raise awareness and wishes for world peace during this semester's annual Peace March. Jameson Fowler takes us there.
What do we want? Peace! What do we want it? Yeah!
That was the chant that echoed through Troy University's campus as students from all races, cultures, and countries marched from Hawkins Hall to the International Arts Center for ISCO's annual Peace March.
Peace is usually thought of on a very global scale and tends to go more towards anti-war sentiments, which I also agree with, but for me, peace starts in the heart, and it really has to do with how we treat people on a more personal level.
Just outside behind the IAC is a wounded dove made by the renowned Alabama artist Fred Nall Hollis, who recently passed away at the age of 76. The dove represents the sin of war, but also represents peace, as students holding flags of different nations surrounded it in a worldwide message.
It's very nice to have us get together and talk about peace. It's not something you can bring up lightly in a conversation, really. So to have something like this on campus, especially when it's for credits for a class, it really promotes having those conversations between students.
Troy hopes that one day there will be peace throughout the world as they come together as a community, one step at a time. Jameson Fowler, Troy, TrojanVision News.
And a few weeks later, Troy students laced up their sneakers yet again when the Sisters of Alpha Kappa Alpha walked to raise awareness for breast cancer. Simon Brown has the story.
With October being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority organized a walk on the quad to honor those who have been affected. Students and community members were invited to the quad to show support for those who are battling the disease.
With it being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, it's super important that we're spreading awareness, and so we decided to host this event to get students out just in order to learn more about breast cancer awareness and how important it is to be able to be checked and things like that.
Breast cancer survivor Regina Foster encourages everyone to know the warning signs of breast cancer.
Breast cancer does not discriminate against anyone. It could be male, female, black, white, big, tall, it does not matter. Just check yourself. You feel something that doesn't look right, feel right, go get it seen about.
The Sisters of Alpha Kappa Alpha and Foster both say faith plays a huge role in the fight against breast cancer.
Faith is everything for me, and I feel as though if I didn't have faith, I don't think I could have went through the journey as strong as I did.
My relationship with Jesus Christ is super strong, and so just to keep the faith and keep pushing that despite your obstacles that you can overcome.
Alpha Kappa Alpha's Breast Cancer Awareness Walk marks the end of the sorority's annual ski week. Simon Brown, Troy, TrojanVision News.
This semester, unfortunately, also saw several major storms and hurricanes tear through the country. One of those storms was Hurricane Milton, which made landfall as a Category 3 storm. Although the city of Troy didn't experience any major impacts from Milton, some people with a close connection to Troy were left to deal with the aftermath. TrojanVision's Mackenzie Foster talks with a Troy professor who lives in Florida and has his story.
Chris Stakel is a professor of graphic design at Troy University. He lives in the area of South St. Augustine Beach, where residents were told to lock down, and many began taking preparations before the storm. Stagel himself tried finding gas, only to discover at least 4 nearby stations were already out.
It was kind of, controlled pandemonium.
With no way of getting gas, Stagel made the decision to stay and prepare for the storm. Today, Stagel says that some areas around him are extremely flooded, including his neighborhood's public lake.
That lake is about 4 feet from its normal level. The water level there had raised so significantly that the sign, that is a very prominent sign to tell people to not, feed the wildlife or whatever, or go swimming, that sign was almost completely covered.
The strength of Hurricane Milton fluctuated before making landfall. Forecasters changed its expected category 3 times this week. Although frustrating, Stagel believes it was important for people to listen to the professionals.
Swallow the pill of the Weather Channel or whatever news outlet. You have to just kind of give it all to them and just say, all right, tell me what to do.
Stagel, his family, and his home are safe and sound. He's grateful his family got an outcome that many other families didn't. He does have one piece of advice for people dealing with hurricane season and the devastation it can leave.
With things like this, the only way out is through, right? And so the only way out of this situation is to just sometimes it's just to hunker down and find your way through it and, live to fight another day.
Mackenzie Foster, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Then, just weeks later, Hurricane Helene arrived. The storm devastated millions of people and their lives. Although, once again, those of us in the Wiregrass were safe, our neighboring states weren't so lucky. That's why one campus organization worked to help other college students who were directly impacted by the storm. Mackenzie Foster explains.
Troy University's Sparkle Mentoring Club is working to restore hope for Valdosta State University students affected by Hurricane Helene. The club is asking people to donate basic necessities that will be taken to struggling students.
They don't have a lot of toiletries, food, water. With it being cold and getting cold, we're going to provide them with socks, blankets, and just stuff in general like that to get them back on their feet.
The donation drive was the idea of Community Service Director Kiara Montgomery. She's from Georgia and has a family and friends who live in the Valdosta area. After hearing about people in need, she pitched the donation drive idea to the club's executive board.
When the hurricane hit and everybody on social media was saying how they're affected, so they needed clothes, water, and stuff like that, I just felt like it was a perfect time for our organization to help them.
Sparkle is an organization that's built to help people, not only in the local community, but also outside of the Wiregrass.
Us giving back to not only to our city, but other cities out as well in another state is a big mission for us.
Montgomery hopes the drive shows how universities and people outside of Georgia can still lend a helping hand.
Valdosta State they're literally about maybe 3.5 hours away from us to show that we are always here, and if anything happened to us, we want other universities to help us too.
After the drive, members of Sparkle plan to travel to Valdosta State University to deliver the donations.
The Sparkle Club wasn't the only group working to help Helene victims. As Sarah Campbell tells us, so were workers with Troy Utilities.
Hurricane Helene was a devastating blow to several communities. Offering its support, Troy Utilities sent 8 linemen to Greenwood, South Carolina, to do what they could to help.
There's a lot of wind damage there, mostly trees down where it's got power lines on the ground, it's broke poles, blocked roads.
Almost 2 weeks after the devastation started, hundreds of thousands of people are still left without power. Brian Chandler, general manager of Troy Utilities, says restoring power lines is their #1 concern.
That's what they're doing day in and day out for 16 plus hours a day. They're rebuilding power lines, essentially, starting with the ones that serve the most people or critical facilities first, and then working out into smaller areas.
He says it can be a long and arduous process.
They typically start about 6 in the morning and sometimes work to 8 or 10 o'clock at night. and then go back to a hotel, shower, and go to sleep, and get up and do it again the next day.
Troy Utilities' response was an offering of mutual aid, or when one utility extends support to another.
While they're focusing on restoration, then those other state and national associations work to match crew needs from out of state or in state to those that are needing.
If roles were reversed, Chandler explains he would want someone there to help them.
You're helping people who are in desperate need, helping to get them electricity so they can have refrigeration, so they can have air conditioning, so they can have, power and lights and internet and whatever else in their home. One day it might be us that's calling for help.
Troy Utilities workers say they make it a point to always be willing and able to lend a hand wherever they're needed. Sarah Campbell, Troy, TrojanVision News.
And that wraps things up for our look back at the fall semester. We hope you can join us again in the spring for our next installment of the Semester in Review. For myself and the rest of our crew here at Troy TrojanVision, thank you for your continuous support. We hope you have a wonderful holiday break.